Welcome back to GEMS Podcast. I am the founder and host, Miss Genesis Amaris Kemp, and with me in the hot seat is Brian Kelly. And here's a bit about Brian. He helps entrepreneurs hire Brian to reach their peak because most do not stand out in the marketplace and fail to attract a steady stream of ideal clients. So he helps them reveal their personal and unique massive exposure machine, free up their time, and create a steady stream of revenue. Bottom line, he helps entrepreneurs establish high value relationships that will result in high end connections and joint venture partnerships within 12 months guaranteed. And today, Brian and I are going to focus on the importance of live interview style video shows and 3 things that get results. So without further ado, please welcome Brian Kelly to GEMS Podcast.
Hey, thank you, Genesis. So great to be here with you. I'm excited, and let's do it.
My pleasure. Before we dive into your subject matter expertise, we're definitely going to connect with you more on a personal level. So I'm going to give you 2 options, Brian. The first one is a rapid fire game, which is 10 questions, or we could break the ice up front. What would you like?
Rapid fire sounds good.
Okie dokie. He chose rapid fire with Genesis, y'all. So here we go. Question numero uno. If you could go anywhere in the world, money was no option, but here's the caveat. You just found out they're no longer flying back to your home base. Where would you go?
Woohoo! Oh my, that's a great one. This is rapid, huh?
Yeah.
First thing that hit me was Italy. I don't know why, but I just go with what hits my brain first. Rome,
Okay.
Italy.
Second, you could have dinner with any person, living or dead. Who would it be?
My wife.
Okay. 3, if you could go back and recreate your wedding day, would you change anything?
Oh man, no.
Okay.
That's day of my
4,
life.
4, dream car.
Pardon?
Dream car.
Oh, it's got to be some kind of supercar Lamborghini.
What color? That's my dream car too.
Whew, I haven't thought. I think black. I think black.
Yeah, I want mine black on the outside, black on the inside with blue neon lights because that's my favorite color.
I love it.
5, if you were a fly on the wall and you could eavesdrop on any conversation, whose conversation would you be eavesdropping on?
Jesus.
Oh, okay. 6, favorite food.
I'm not much of a favorite anything person, but let me. Geez, there's several. Sushi.
Okay. 7, what charities would you donate to if you just hit the lottery?
Wow. I would do research first to find out which ones I wouldn't know this moment. I would research to see what's most in need and who seems to have the most servant attitude involved and not just in it to make money as a nonprofit, which I've seen. That's what I say that because I've seen some like that. So I'd be very I'd be very methodic in my choice.
Okay, so definitely doing your due diligence
Yeah.
and knowing where your money is going. Okay. 8, here's a good one. If you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Never give up.
Okay. 9, favorite movie or book?
Favorites again.
Oh, yes,
Um,
yes. We could skip that one. Let me see. Okay. You're on the highway and no one's paying attention. Well, at least you don't think they're paying attention. What are you jamming out to?
ooh, Rush.
Okay. 10. This is our pass or play question. And here are the rules. If you play, I ask you one last question. If you pass, you can ask me, the host, a question. Are we playing or passing?
Hmm. Let's see. I'll play.
Okay. So let me see here. Oh, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, flying.
Flying. Yes. And thank you for playing 10 questions with Genesis via rapid fire. Now let's segue into live shows and how to make them more attractive, really capture the audience and have that overarching reach. So, Brian, what led you to focus on this area for your subject matter expertise?
Several things, but one was I always realized that I loved this thing called automation. Being a former software engineer for many years, working in corporate, I loved the fact that you could write code once and it would repeat the process, infinite number of times, and do so properly and correctly once you've refined the software that you've written. And then the other side is speaking from stage. I started doing that about 10 years ago or so and just fell in love with it. And the two together, I found a way to combine out of pure need. To speak from stage is one thing. To do a live video, there's a lot of prep work that goes on behind the scenes that very little few people realize that haven't done it themselves. Just like with your podcast, Genesis, there was work involved ahead of time. You took in a form, you looked at. I think I still owe you a couple links in that. I saw an email and I just didn't get around to it in time, but I'll get that to you. But there's a lot of upfront effort, and then you execute the show. I call it a show, your interview, and then there's post-show efforts that go on. And if I didn't automate everything that I possibly could, I would not do a live show, period, because it was just too much. I did it 10 years ago and it led to burnout because I did it all manually. And then I had a partner. So there were two of us, and doing it manually burnt me out. And then I learned, resurrected another one. I did not have a partner this time. I automated all of those arduous tasks, refined it, perfected it, and now I'm able to do that and also offer that as a service to others so that they can just show up and be the host, and focus on the guest. When you have all that stuff going on in the beginning, leading up to the show, your mind isn't. I know this from experience. The mind isn't 100% invested into that other person. And to me, that is the primary focus of every show. It's not me. It's the person I'm interviewing. I want to make them shine, lift them up with all authenticity and integrity. But it's all about the guest and enabling automation. Automation also translates into quality because it's error-free communication. Once you set it up, I'm not talking about automation to go out and do chatbots and things for marketing and using it that way. This is for very specific, very focused communication that the guest needs to receive and act on in some cases prior to the show. And the whole purpose is so that when they come on the show, the experience will be of the highest quality for them, that they will come on showing great. They go through a checklist. They do a lot of things that this system will take them through. And for me, I just click a button and then I'm hands off until it's showtime. And it's been a godsend.
Yes, it definitely makes things go by smoother for you as the host whenever you could kind of relax. And I tell people who are in the podcasting space or a similar arena to me is you have to find what works well for you and stick with it. If you try to mimic what somebody else is doing, it may not work for you. And you could easily burn yourself out trying to compete with them. Look for things that are complementing
Mm.
you and your space. And I like to say, work smarter, not harder. And I guess that's from me coming from a corporate background where I spent 15 years, 12 in oil and gas, but then me being a supply chain person too, I'm like, man, if I could just do my rinse and repeat and just automate it, then I'm cool with that because then I could focus on other areas that give me more productivity, efficiency, and etc. And one thing that I like, Brian, you have three things that help people get results. And that is just quick to the point. So you talk about quality, automation, and massive exposure. So let's spend some time breaking down each one of those.
Yeah, so again, quality is the quality of communication with your guest expert. A lot of people focus on all the vanity numbers, the likes, the loves, the subscriptions, the downloads, all they're called vanity numbers for a reason, thinking that that will get them to that glorious sponsorship that they want to monetize with. And the whole thing is that I think that is an incorrect way of going about it because percentage wise, very few make any money with a podcast. You have to have a very unique situation or be a big name already. Oftentimes, I'm not saying it can't be done, but the odds are stacked against in that. And so I look at live shows and podcasts as a way of improving and building on what's called your platform, so that when someone comes to Genesis and says, Genesis, what is your business and what pain points do you solve? And you tell them what they are, and they'll go, okay, I'll come back to you. They're going to go back and research you. And if you've done everything right and you've got the quality and all the three aspects that we're going to cover in place, they will not be able to not find you. You'll be everywhere. And that means you've built your platform. And then when they do find you, every time they see you, they're going to see this very high quality professional show that was done live and recorded. And then they'll say, wow, I want to watch newer ones and get more involved. Or they'll just say, that's it, I've decided. I want to work with Genesis because she has it together. So I always say this, my show is not my business. I don't put my show out there as a marketing vehicle. This is me personally. I'm not saying it's wrong to do it that any other way. I do it to build relationships. And if something comes from it, fantastic. It will come naturally between myself and the guest. And that's the thing. The focus should be on the guest, not on making money from the audience. And it's not even from making money on the guest. Oftentimes, I will become the guest client after the show's over. It's a two-way street. So again, if you just take a step back and not try to make money at every turn, but you're building your platform, which will help you to make money, if that makes sense, then you're going to be much farther down the road. It does take time, but anything that's worth anything does take time, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I like to say consistency is key. Being consistent, making sure that your craft stands out, you're authentic, and you don't sound like everyone else that is in your field, because then the market can be overly saturated. And then another thing that a lot of people are talking about these days is SEO, so search engine optimization. And I think that's a part of quality. So, do you want to have quantity or do you want to have quality? And what allows you to stand out in the sea of your competitors? Anything you want to add there, Brian?
Yeah, for SEO, there I got a quick tip. When we're done with a video, a show, I upload my that show. I have my team upload it to a transcription service that brings back embed code that we put on our site for each individual performance, and then the video and the written word are when you hit the play button, they play in tandem in real time. So the words are highlighted, kind of like a teleprompter, if you will. The cool thing about this particular service is every word is literally in the embed code, so it's bare naked to the search engines. Instead of a lot of other embed codes, I'm getting geeky here, but we'll have this little two sentences of JavaScript, not much, but no words that are what you and I talked about during the show. This transcription service, word for word, literally has, I mean, it's a big, big, long piece of code, but that's okay. It's really, in as far as size and bytes and all that, it's not that much. But anyway, search engines can see that, and I verified that through a very dear friend of mine who's a search engine optimization expert. So leaving no stone unturned to get massive exposure for my guests, and it will come by osmosis that I will also get massive exposure as a result, and I have.
And thank you for sharing that, Brian. And one thing that I want to ask too is, since you mentioned that with coding, do you think that it's effective for people who have live shows to work with the various software engineers um, for like apps or just branding out their content? Because you hear so many times like people are like, oh yeah, you have a show, but then you should create an ebook, or you should do this, or you should do that. And there's so many things and moving pieces. I think that people could easily get bogged down, and that could also lead to burnout as well, from my opinion.
I agree with your opinion, and it's I say concentrate on the show and nothing but the show, and do that and get really good at it. I mean, get it fine tuned until the point where when you want to branch out and do things like have an app developed or all these other ancillary things. Well, first research and say, is that gonna get me ROI? A lot of these are shiny ball, objects, and everyone's looking at them, oh, I can have my own app, and they're like, wow, my name's gonna be on an app, and people aren't gonna download it. It's just like a podcast. There's no difference. If they go to look for podcasts in categories, and they see you there, but then they see, and you're in the entrepreneur space, but then they see this guy named Lewis Howes or Tony Robbins next or in front of you, who are they going to download and spend their time listening to? Right? They'll listen to Genesis. That's who. But the thing is, it's just take it. Definitely keep hitting different markets, but do it. You made a comment earlier. Work smarter, not harder. I actually very respectfully disagree with that, because it's what everybody's saying. I used to say it too, so I'll put myself in that camp. What happens is when you work smarter, it enables you to work harder. So work
Okay.
smarter and work harder, because now you can work on other things that will help you to grow your business faster. So it's a great synergy between working smart and working hard. And to me, it's, we say working hard, it's play. It's fun. I enjoy it. There are arduous parts of it, but I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. And for that, I'm fine with. I mean, there's sometimes I'll miss dinner because I am so into it. I just don't want to quit. I keep going. I stay up too late because I just get in that zone. So it's okay. But yeah, I diverted there a little bit.
No, no worries. That was good substance that you were adding there, Brian. And let's talk about your second tip, which is automation. So whenever you think about automation, break that down, because sometimes people think, "Oh, I could get a bot." But then if you get a bot, that takes away the personalization. So yes, you're automating it, but then it becomes robotic because you're not having that human connection. And people want to connect with humans, not robots. And prime example, whenever you call, and I'm going to ask this question, whenever you call your doctor's office or you call a local business, they're like, please press 1 if you would like to speak to da da da. Press 2, press 3, and then about time you listen to all the damn prompts, you're like, man, I just want a live person.
Yes, totally agree with that. Here's the thing when it comes to doing live shows or podcasts, and I'm doing this from the standpoint of the guest that you're about to interview. So they want to be on your show because, and I want to be on yours just like I want to be on yours, Genesis, because I get it. That's going to get me another point of exposure or several points. That's why we're all doing this. Let's be frank about it, right? And that's good. And we can have great conversation, provide a ton of value, and people hopefully get something from this and can put it in action. Um, what was your question again? I'm really all over the place.
Oh, no worries. So I was asking, whenever it comes to automation,
Oh yes.
what are some tools that we could use to make it where we're actually connecting with a person and personalizing it versus making it mundane and robotic?
Yeah, so with when guests are onboarding, they understand, just like I did with your form. We get it that we're gonna have to provide some information, right? And so with that kind of communication, having a automated communication sequence is kind of expected. It's less frowned upon, and in fact, it's the opposite. I cannot tell you, Genesis, how many times when I mean many emails and some text messages go out to my guests before they appear on my show for executing certain things. So I don't just back up the dump truck and say, "Give me all your links, your bio, your headshot. Go share this and do everything all at once and do it quick." I sprinkle it on them, and it's done at the proper times. And when they come on and I do a 30-minute pre-show with them, like we're on camera right now, my shows are an hour, so I get to know them, number one. But number two, I can't tell you how many times I go, "My God, Brian, you are so organized and professional." And I almost fall out of my chair laughing because literally, if you could see my desk right now, you would not call me organized. It's because of my system. Now, when you come off, and I'm organized because I wrote all the automations, I did all this back work. So yeah, I am organized in that sense. But it's hilarious. But when you represent yourself, your organization, your business in such a professional manner, what happens is that results in them, whoever it happens to be, that is, experiences any part of it, they are more likely to do business with you than those, if you were to let what about this, Genesis? Let's say you wouldn't do this, but let's say you have a friend that says, "Genesis, I want you on my live show." You said, "Right on." So you come on, and you see they're out there walking around outside by a park or something, and like, "Are you on a phone?" "Yeah, I'm on a phone. It's got great resolution, all this stuff." So they're out there holding their phone, their hands shaking, the wind's blowing, the microphones, all this stuff. Do you want to be on that show? Number one, and number two, who wants to watch and listen to that show? So that's just taking it to an extreme, but how you represent yourself in any environment like this, especially this, where you have control over quality, is make it as high quality as you possibly can. Do what you can with the resources you have, and then upgrade when the time is right, when you have the resources to upgrade.
Absolutely. And thank you for talking about that, because you have to remember that you are your brand and people see you and they see what you are delivering. So if you're not delivering things that is quality, that is substance, that is engaging, people are going to exit stage left. They're going to be like, up, on to the next one. Kind of similar to these influencers on social media, on TikTok and Instagram. They're looking at all, is the video pretty? Is it, do they have the right colors on? on? How's their tone of voice? Is something jumping out at me? Just put some substance and put some thought into it. Now let's jump into number three, massive exposure. What everyone wants these days, to the point where people are like, hey, if you pay me 5, 10, 15, 20, or higher, I can market it for you. But then you're like, okay, what's your ROI? What's your return? What's my return on investment? Where are you marketing? How big is your followers? Because if you come to me, Genesis, on Instagram and you tell me you can market for me, but I only see that you have 77 followers on your page, how far is my content going to go?
Yeah, those all play into the fact. Here's one of the things I learned early on from this when I was speaking from stage a lot. So it goes back to the speaking industry. Is whenever I'm invited to speak on a stage, I look at my calendar. If it's open, I never say no. I don't care about the marketing. I don't care about the following. I don't care about why would that be? That's an opportunity to further hone my craft, and you never know. It just takes one person that shows up at that event that could be a game changer. And so I don't put a whole lot of emphasis personally when I'm looking to whose show my. I didn't even look, Genesis. I didn't see how many downloads you had. I didn't care. I saw you had a lot of episodes. That was impressive, like over 500, I think. That was a lot. And so that helped me to understand you're going to be professional. I do look at that. That's the only thing. I don't look for how much exposure am I going to get directly from this, because I know some will happen and some is better than nothing, and I get to hone my craft. I get to get better at answering questions. I get to get better at listening and not interrupting. I get to get better. And so I look at it as another opportunity to, in a live setting, to hone my craft and get better. I'm always looking to improve. So there's always a good reason to say yes to being interviewed. And even if it's someone who's just starting out, I look at it as an opportunity to assist them if they're open to it after the interview's over, and say, hey, if you don't mind, I have some feedback that could help you going forward, because I just love helping people, and that's there's so many reasons to say yes, and for me, very few to say no. It would be a time thing if my calendar's full and I have other higher priority things coming. I will have to move on from one, but I rarely say no.
Yeah, and you responded very quick when I reached out to you because we met on podmatch.com.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he has an interesting background. I think he could add a lot of value to my audience. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, wow, he's on the calendar already. You're like, I'm on your calendar for tomorrow. I was like, oh, that was quick. So thank you for being professional and also responding, because sometimes whenever you are doing business with other people, I tell them it shouldn't just be the whiffle method, what's in it for me, but what's in it for we, and how can we help one another, because that's what collaboration is, really creating those synergies, and make sure that it's not just a touch and go, but it's a way that you could build that rapport and nurture the relationship over time, because you never know how the people who come into your network, how you may need them later on in life. And the same goes true for people that are in corporate America. I got a lot of my positions via networking. I didn't want to just do what I was doing in trade regulations and compliance. I wanted to actually network with other people. I started in the drilling organization. I love working with drillers. We're drilling $1 million wells a day and stuff, but exposure is great. So always ask the right questions, always ask for feedback. I say feedback is a gift. You take what you can use and build upon it. What does not, apply right then and there. Thank the person that they even cared enough to give you the feedback. And I just say put it in your back pocket or put it in your glove compartment until you need it later on, and just keep it moving and always have a positive attitude.
I love it all, Genesis. You are very wise.
So, Brian, as we begin to wind down our segment, I want you to leave the listeners with your call to action for this segment. Whether it's a challenge that you want them to take based on the 3 points we talked about, whether it's connecting with you further on social media to become a part of your community and do the work alongside with you, or whatever the case may be, because we are here to educate them on this subject, inspire them, and motivate them to get off your butt and get cracking.
Yeah, several people ask, you do all this automation. What are your go-to tools? So I have a free email. I just send it. You opt in and you get an email with all the links to all the things I use on a daily basis. That's ryp.im/automation. RYP stands for Reach Your Peak, which is my company, ryp.im/automation. And then I like to give back or offer forward things that I use personally that I found either to be at a discount or are supreme value that don't cost a lot of money. And so I created a new club. It's absolutely free to get in, and you'll see all the discounts. And there's only 4 things. It's like Costco without the membership fee and all the thousands of products. It's real simple. And that's reachyourpeakclub.com. It's a free membership, never will charge for it. It's just a way to get in. You can get discount to my #1 CRM tool that I use every day. It's the first thing I log into. A VA agency that is certified in that CRM tool. So if you're not a techie, they will help you at very little cost. There's my master classes in there as well, which I hold every 3 weeks. That's ryp.im masterclass /masterclass. No charge on on that. And then there's something else Zoom. My goodness. There's a phenomenal resource that everyone, including you, Genesis, I know you're going to love this. 500 seat webinar, 500 seat meeting, transcription, recording to the cloud, all included. It's the enterprise level of Zoom. It is a Zoom account, and it's all for $12.99. So think about it as an upgrade to your current account, because that's all that happens, and you pay less than you're paying now. Guarantee it.
Super cool.
That's all on reachyourpeakclub.com. So that's I love giving that away because everybody gets excited, and I love getting, being able to help people and see that excitement in their face. It's fulfilling. But
So,
parting word of advice to everybody real quick, and I said it earlier, is never, ever, ever, ever give up. Never give up.
so another question here, Brian. So for those who are interested in connecting with you on social media platforms, where do you primarily hang out?
The one I check the most because it keeps annoying me with my phone is Facebook. I'm doing more on LinkedIn these days, but Facebook is still kind of like my primary, almost like email/messaging tool. So I'm there at, I think, Brian Carl Kelly, if memory serves. You'll see a picture that looks like this if you're watching this on video. But yeah, I think it's Brian Carl Kelly. I have to double check that. You'll probably have it in the notes anyway. But I have so many accounts I can't keep track of what the username at the end is. But yeah, Facebook would be one. Just look up Brian Kelly and you'll find about 30,000 of us, but I'm in there.
Awesome. So listeners and viewers, I will have all of Brian's contact information in the show notes, so you can definitely plug in with him. Go check out Reach Your Peak. I love the name because he's getting you to the highest altitude so you could see out clearly. Make sure you subscribe and share this segment. We're on 40 plus platforms. You could also see all video content at YouTube by typing in at Gems with Genesis Amaris Kemp. And lastly, but not least, I want to thank you so much for continuing to support the mission of Gems Podcast by listening, subscribing, and sharing with your network. You allowed us to be ranked in the top 3% globally out of 2.8 million podcasts per www.listennotes.com. So we are now opening our slots for sponsorship, so you could have your products and services for right here. Find out more info by going to genesisamarisKemp.net, clicking on the podcast tab, and you will find how to plug in with me. So until next time, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Have yourself an amazing day and go take the challenge. Brian is offering some amazing tools to help you level up your game and scale up in your business.